Hello everybody, hello, and hello to those of you watching on the replay. I am just going to do my normal thing and check that we're live in all the right places. Sorry about my voice, by the way. I'm pretty sure I've got sinusitis. Completely self-inflicted though. Had my hen do on the weekend and had an absolutely fantastic time. But you can hear that I had a fantastic time. Self-inflicted though. Okay, so that's fine in the Kimber Digital page, and I'm just going to check that we are live in one of our groups, which I think we will be. It looks like we're working. Awesome. Okay. Excuse me. So I think Catface might even join us as well if we're lucky. Hi Vic, how are you doing? I might have already said this, but pop replay in the comments if you're watching on the replay. Today we're going to be talking about common gamification myths. This is part of a live series that we've been doing over the past few weeks about what gamification is and diving deeper into the topic. If you've missed the last few weeks of lives, in the first week, we talked about what gamification is and why it's a game changer for your business. The second week, I talked about using gamification to increase your online sales conversions. And last week, I talked about using gamification to increase engagement. You can still watch them on the replay. If you want to watch any of them, do pop a comment below. Although I do believe my team will be popping links. I might have forgotten to ask them to do that, so they might have a bit of work on their hands all of a sudden. Sorry about that. Today we're going to be talking about common myths around gamification. And then on Tuesday next week, the 7th of December, midday UK time, I will be sharing how some companies use gamification for evil and why so many people think that gamification is a tool for manipulation and how we use it differently, so how we use it ethically. If you would like a reminder when we go live, if you comment live, LIVE, if you're watching on the Facebook page, our handy bot will automatically pop up in your messages and give you the options to get a reminder when we're live. If you're watching anywhere else, the team will give you the link to sign up for the reminders when we're live, so you can join us live. Okay, so before we get on to today's talk, I would love to get to know the people who are watching a bit better. So why not use this opportunity to do a quick intro into who you are and what your business is, because I'd love to find out more about who's watching these talks. All right, let's get into the gamification myths, shall we? So I've got 9 for you. I was going to try and find some more, but I thought that's no point scraping the barrel. Let's cover the main gamification myths. The first one is that gamification must mean competition. So while, of course, you can add competition into your gamified solutions, and competition is a game element, you don't have to use competition. You don't have to make your audience battle against each other to get results. And in some situations, that's the worst thing you can do. Some type of people will find competition overwhelming. They will find it off-putting and they will find it demotivating. So in some cases, it's better to use different tools rather than competition. So people who think gamification just means competitions and quizzes and things like that, that's not necessarily the case. Hello to those of you joining us. Do give us an intro in the comments and let us know who you are and what your business does. Okay, the second myth is that gamification is just for young people because only young people play games. A lot of people think, oh, gamification won't work for my business because the people that I work with are older, or they're older than 30, or they're older than 50, or they're older than 70, whatever. And they won't be motivated or engaged by gamification because only young people play games. Space Invaders came out in 1978. Pong came out in November 1972. Gen X are a gamer generation. They literally grew up with arcade machines. It's not just for millennials. And games have been around forever, ever. Everyone has played games. Bingo is a great example. The original Bingo wasn't originally called Bingo, but it's supposed to have roots in Italy in the 16th century. It comes from the Italian lottery. Everyone you know will have played a game of some description, whether it was, I don't know, noughts and crosses at school, whether they played conkers as a kid, whether they played mobile games, whether they are an actual gamer and they play video games all the time, whether they play board games when they meet up with their family. Everyone has played games. Number 3, This one's a big one. I hear this one quite a lot. Gamification must look like a computer game, or gamification means turning your project into a big board game or into just a game, right? It doesn't have to be a computer game. It doesn't have to be any game, really. All that gamification is taking some stuff that works from games and applying them to your project so that you can get better results. You don't have to be a programmer to gamify things. You don't have to be a graphic designer to gamify things. You don't have to create this big game world with avatars and all that kind of stuff to make gamification work for your business. That is a massive myth and one that I'm trying to dispel. Number 4 of 9, if you use gamification, people will think that I'm silly, or that my business is too boring for gamification, or I'm not fun enough to use gamification in my business, or basically gamification doesn't have to be silly, and some of it isn't even fun. I should maybe have had that as one of my myths, is that gamification is fun. Gamification doesn't have to be silly, it doesn't have to be fun. It has been around for 20 years, all right? So all the big boys are doing it. Duolingo, the language learning app, is one of the most popular ones. They use loads of game elements to help their members learn languages. eBay, Amazon, Samsung, McDonald's, like loads of the big boys are using gamification. They don't talk about it and people aren't really aware of it. You will have seen it everywhere for the past 20 years. And a lot of the not so big boys are using it too, but the people who use it successfully don't want to talk about it because they don't want other people to know how they're getting the results they're getting, because then their competitors will do just as well as them. So things that you're probably aware of or using already from the gamification world that you didn't even realize. Scarcity. So I talk about this one quite a lot. That's telling people they should sign up for something because the time's running out, or so there's only so many hours left to join, or there's only so many spaces left. That's scarcity. Scarcity is not fun. It's not silly, but it is a game tool and it does work. Competition. So I said earlier, it's not just competitions, but competitions can be a game tool. They can be fun and they can be silly, but some really big brands use competitions to get amazing results. They're another game tool. Storytelling. So if you've ever used a story to explain something to your students, to your audience, to get across a concept that's a little bit difficult, that is gamification. It is a tool of gamification, rather. It's not gamification in and of itself. Narrative is a core game element, and whilst it is fun, it is seriously useful as part of gamification projects. Number 4, polls. You've all used polls. You can't tell me you haven't used a poll. This is something that is gamification built into most social media platforms and a lot of email marketing platforms as well. It helps businesses to do market research with their audience, but also to play with their audience too. It is fun, but it's also extremely useful for businesses and not at all silly. And another one, progress bars. So if you've ever been on a course and there's a progress bar which shows you how far through you are, or that progress bar on LinkedIn that says you've completed 95% of your profile, do this one action and it'll get you to 100%. That's a gamification technique. It's not fun. In fact, progress bars are pretty much as boring as things can be boring, but it is clever because it inspires you to do more and it is a game technique. Now, that's just a few examples. There are hundreds of gamification elements that you are probably using already, or might have seen other people using them, like in your everyday day-to-day lives. They are useful for encouraging people to buy stuff, to help people to reach their goals, to reach your own goals, and a lot more. So hopefully you don't think it's silly anymore if you did. So I'm going to quickly read some of these comments because I've asked some of you guys to tell me a bit about your business. So I'm going to actually share those. Excuse me, I'm really struggling today. So yeah, just say who you are and what you do, and I will share those halfway through. So Georgina, morning. It's afternoon now, lovely. I mean, I do that all the time, don't worry. I tutor maths and science for secondary students and coach other tutors to do the same. So if any of you have secondary school kids who need help with maths or science, go Georgina's way. Sarah. I'm Sarah and I run a natural treat company called Friends of and Canines. Brilliant. Thanks for sharing, guys. Do keep sharing, keep introducing yourselves. It's really good for me to get an idea of who's watching so that I can kind of try to tailor my future talks. Okay. What would be really good as well as introducing your business is tell me what you've heard about gamification. If you have, I'll see if there's any more myths that I can debunk at the end. Even if you're not watching this live, if you're watching this on replay, please do tell me of any things you've heard around gamification, because if there are any myths, I'd like to talk about them in the future. Okay, number 5. So some people say gamification only works for people selling products, and some people say gamification only works for people selling services. Okay, here's a list of some things that I've gamified so you get an idea. I have gamified selling hula hoops, which is selling to consumers. I have gamified selling courses through challenge launches, which is selling to other businesses. I have gamified reading more frequently, which is nothing to do with selling, but it is just to reach my own goals. I gamified completing an over 60-mile cycle from London to Brighton in gale-force winds, hailstorms, and torrential rain to make me get to the end because I was raising money for charity. I've gamified online events. I've gamified online courses. I have gamified memberships. I have also gamified our social media campaigns and loads more. By the way, if you're not sure how to gamify your social media to increase your engagement and so to get more interaction from your audience, we've created some templates and there's an absolute bargain. I'm sure that my team will pop a link into the comments for you to have a look if you want to. You can gamify many, many things in business, outside of business, and more. So don't feel like, oh, I can't use gamification because I don't run an online course, or I can't use gamification because I don't sell products, whatever. You can gamify pretty much anything. And I say pretty much because of what I'm about to say next. So the next one, number 6, gamification can fix any engagement or motivational problem. So some people think gamification is the answer to all of their problems. Whilst I could easily lie to you and tell you that gamification will fix all of your problems with your courses, with your memberships, with your social media trainings, etc., the truth is, if you've got a course that's not delivering, adding gamification isn't going to save it. You need to fix the course first. If your social media content doesn't consider your audience, give value, or isn't useful in some way, adding gamification won't save it. You need to go back and relook at your social media content. If you're trying to motivate people who don't want to learn, adding gamification isn't going to solve that problem. With some things, you have to solve the underlying issue first, and then you can use gamification to improve your results afterwards. So gamification is more of a tool for improving what you've already got that's working, rather than using it from scratch. Of course, you can gamify things from scratch, but it's not going to solve every problem that you've got. Number 7, gamifying something is enough to attract people to buy or take part in it. So some people think that just by gamifying something, like you can build it and they will come, people will just appear and buy stuff from you out of nowhere. So just like any other type of business project, you have to market things properly. So if it's an external thing, you have to market it externally. If it's an internal project, you need to get internal buy-in. You need to tell people about it to get them to take part. Nobody's a mind reader. If you don't tell people about your new gamified thing, they won't know that it's there. You need to promote it just like everything else. And talk about the fact it's gamified if you want to. Talk about the fact that it's going to be more fun, it's going to be more exciting, it's going to be more interesting, it's going to be more motivating, but you do need to talk about it. You can't just build it and hope that they'll come. Let's have a look at another couple of these comments before I move on to the next one. So hi Rada, how are you doing? Lovely. I run a children's STEM craft subscription box called Little Crafters Boxes, so do go and check that out if you've got kiddies who would like that. I'm Emma and I am a private one-to-one online offline music tutor for all ages, an author and an accredited. Wow, she's Emma's everything. So yeah, go and check her out if you're interested in any of those things. Thank you for sharing. Georgina, I don't think I've ever heard of gamification before you, but I've definitely seen it in practice. Yes, and once people see my lives and hear me talking about it, they come back to me later and they go, I've just seen this thing that's been gamified. Like, please do share with me when you see gamification in action because I love it. But you guys will start to see it more and more now that you've heard about it. I've thought about using gamification to help my music students practice more. That is a great idea. It's a really good idea. Definitely do that. That sounds like fun. Do that. Okay, number 8, gamification is just a trend. I hear this all the time. Gamification is just a trend. It's just a fad. I've already said it's been around for 20 years. And the more you look for it, the more you'll see brands using it. It is getting more common rather than less common. And it is definitely not a trend. Number 9, my final one before I tell you about a few things, excuse me, is that you can create gamification once and just let it go. Just let it keep going and running in the background. Some people think you can implement gamification at the beginning of a big project and just leave it as it is. The truth is that, as with anything, after a while, the novelty is going to wear off. Even if your brand new spanking, exciting gamification project, 6 months down the line, people will be used to that format. I've said here, people will get bored and they will disengage. That's why when we work with people one-to-one, we give them lots of things to add into their project later, as well as the original concept, but later to reignite that engagement, to give them fresh things and more novelty so that people will come back and be more engaged again. Because it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how exciting it is, no matter how, amazing it is, everyone gets used to things. That's the nature of life. You get used to things. So you have to keep adding things in to re-engage people later. By the way, if anyone's interested in working with us one-to-one, the team will pop a link into the comments so you can find out more. Okay, so I absolutely whipped through that. It's so funny. Some of these have taken like 40 minutes and this one's taken 15 minutes. I've got a couple of free things to talk to you about. So the first one is, if you happen to have a community or podcast that could benefit from learning about the gamification of courses, memberships, affiliate launches, or challenge launches, or even to get increased engagement in your social media, why not invite me to speak in your group or on your podcast? And my team will pop a link into the comments so that you can find out more about my talk and how that works. And if you would like to find more about gamification, actually, let me get the link up. This is going to be fun. I'm trying to do two things at once. That's never a good idea, is it? There we go. I should have done this first. I did have it open earlier because I've done another talk today, but I didn't have it open on the side. So if you'd like to find out more about gamification, there are more lives coming. So we've got one more live next week. If you comment the word live, then you will get given the link either through our bot or from one of my team. Just sign up for our bot reminders. So finally, I want to talk to you about our quiz. So let me share this screen. So if you haven't done this already, it'll only take you 3 minutes, and it is gamification. So there's two reasons why you might want to do it. Number one is just to be nosy and have a look at how we've done it. I know that loads of you do it for that reason. It's absolutely fine. But the second reason is, if you have ever wondered how you get better results from your courses, challenges, or social media. It takes 3 minutes. It really is a handful of clicks. And what happens is you get, like it says here, a personal PDF report with detailed free feedback. So it gives you information on, excuse me, what gamification is and how it can solve the problems that you have identified by going through the quiz. So yeah, we've had really good feedback on it, and it really is free, apart from obviously you'll give me your email address, but we're only going to send you stuff about things that are relevant to this. And yeah, you just need to go to thegameplanquiz.com, which I can pop up here. But also my team will also put it into the comments, I'm sure. Let's see if I can get that up. So were any of those myths a surprise to you guys? Was there anything in there that you were like, oh, I didn't realize that? If not, if you don't have any questions or any comments on that, then I will leave you to it, because I don't want these to run over just for the sake of them. I don't really think that's an important thing to do. But the final one, which is next week, is going to be, I think it's about gamification for evil. I cannot wait to do this talk. I'm really excited about it because so many businesses, sadly, are using gamification to micromanage, to overly monitor Big Brother style their staff, to do things that are frankly evil and unethical. And next week, so Tuesday, 7th of December, midday, UK time, I will be showcasing some examples of how some companies use gamification for evil, why so many people just think of it as a tool for manipulation, and how we use it differently. So how we do ethical gamification. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see some of you there for that next week. Bye, everyone.